The tachometer dash featured on our test bike seems to be gaining a lot of interest. So I've been quite lucky, and with a bit of perseverance I've actually found a source of a small quantity of them. And of course now that they've gone to a few people, the first thing I get asked is how do I fit it. So let's deal with that. It's nice and easy. When you first get your new tachometer dash, it's going to have a bit of plastic over the front to protect it from scratches. Just leave that there until you're done. What I'd like to look at first of all is the wiring on it. Now you can see there that those two plugs are identical. So are those two. And we also have a little bundle of wires. Now the colour coding on all of these should be identical to the standard bike. That's the standard dashboard I've got in the background, by the way. So you can see we've got a black one, we've got a green one, we've got a brown one, a blue one. I don't know, is that an orangey sort of a one? And we have an extra one, which seems to be a different colour varying from unit to unit. Of course, if you're going to throw in an extra wire, then it doesn't matter what colour it is when you get down to it. So you can see we don't have a green with a yellow stripe on the original item. So that wire is an extra wire that actually goes to your coil. And that provides, as the coil gets a pulse of electricity, then that wire gets a share of it. It goes up to the tachometer, and of course the tachometer then counts how many pulses a minute it gets, and then gives you a nice display. And you know, basically counts your revs for you. So because the test bike already has one fitted, makes it a little bit tricky to fit one from scratch for you. But we can have a look at the way that the test bike is put together and how it's all done. And that way, if you're one of the people who'd like a tachometer dash, when you get it, you'll have a fair idea of what you need to do. So we'll start by removing the seat, tank and side covers. And the only reason we really need to do that is to get to the coil wire. But we'll give that a whirl first of all. Now, the next thing we need to do is get access to the wiring loom. Now, it's a pretty bare looking bike. Guess where the wiring loom is? On each side of the headlight, you'll find two Phillips head screws. Kind of like that. Take those out, of course. I have a little spacing bush there as well. So you want to make sure you don't lose that. Keep them together. Put this on one side safely. Now, got myself a bit of a rag here to put on top of the mudguard. And that'll stop anything from being scratched. Those two screws hold the bottom in, and there's a clip up the top. That clip there goes into there. Now anybody who's replacing the headlight bulb, this is how it's done. And that mess of spaghetti in there is your wiring loom, held in by two little bendable goodies there. At this point I should say something like, don't be nervous. Not bad. Okay. As usual, I'm kind of winging this. One of the things we're going to have to remove Is our speedometer drive cable there. And he can just simply be pulled out of the way. And you'll see, hopefully, one bolt there. And his buddy on the other side there. Two 12mm bolts that actually hold the dash in. Out. Nice and gently. So far, so good. Now that just allows me to see a little bit more clearly which wires we need to deal with. So what we have is the big fat bundle coming down. There's our accumulation of little wires there. There's one that we've made come off by accident. So there's one connector. There's our other one. Most people are sort of at this point wondering, what is that? That is our extra wire. You can see that that is the original set of wires, 5 wires. They've all gone in as colour coded. So you've got your brown one, brown one, the blue one, the blue one, the green one to the green one, the black one to the black one, and that's your 5. Now I'm not going to unplug those because I don't see it as necessary. It's pretty straightforward. I mean, what you'll do is you'll have that. All you need to do is just follow that through and just unplug as you go. Put that in pretty good until all of those wires are unplugged. And then, of course, you just get the new dash. Ah, well, we may as well. We're in for a penny, we're in for a pound now, aren't we? There we go. And you just gently feed that. go. So that's what you'll be staring at, wondering what on earth you got yourself into. Anyway, while you've got the dash out, we'll just pop that down there safely. Do need to run a wire. Now this is the wire that I've created. It doesn't have to be rocket science. It goes out the back of the headlight shroud. Through the frame and down to here. So that there is the wire that I've run. Geez, I did a half decent job of that. That's not bad. Now your original coil wire will be like that, as you can see there, and it might possibly be tucked in sort of behind there. Generally they don't like high tension and low tension leads touching itself, touching each other. So it will look like that, something like that. And this is in a little three-way connector that I've made up. Pretty easy to do, really. So you can just see that I've gotten a few bits of wire. I've put a male bullet connector on one end, two females on the other, and that's created a three-way junction for me. So I can then get the original coil wire, my tachometer wire, and send that across to the coil. So you can see there that what the tachometer does is just rob a little bit of the pulse that's being sent to the ignition coil, and uses that as its signal to find out how fast the engine is actually going. The actual wire itself, oops, stuck in there. It's actually only about, I don't know, that long. Yeah, about 50 centimetres, 60 centimetres. Your best bet is to get a roll of wire, or at least a metre of it. Start at that end, get to the other. Once your dash is in, terminate it at that end when you've worked out exactly how much you need. But that's actually pretty straightforward, not rocket science. I mean, that probably looks pretty high tech, but really it's not. So now we have the fun of putting it all back together, which isn't all that hard. And, the best thing to do, of course, is to relax. Take your time. You know, don't focus on speed, focus on getting it right. So this is how you'd be installing your new unit. Start by threading that in there. A thought occurs to me as well is when you're calculating the length of your wire going to your coil, bear in mind that your steering wheel, your handlebars as you move them, that wire will need a little bit of slack in it to accommodate that movement. or else you'll go around a corner at your first corner and it'll unplug itself and then your bike will stop dead. Which is more funny to watch than to experience. Okay. So, one disaster. Black to black. Green to green. To blue. Brown we do. And another not quite orange. Looks good. And of course we've got our homemade wire. You can see that that wire is a similar gauge to what's used on the original loom. Probably a little bit thicker. Thicker is not going to hurt. In fact, in industrial control cables, they actually use cables like that to conduct milliamps of current, I'm told. With these connectors, when you're connecting them, they just simply push in. When you're disconnecting them, you need to push that down, either there or there, and then pull it back. Of course, our other one, and this is the part that I love, making this disaster fit back in there. This is where you really need to remain patient. Never been really very good at wiring. Oh, there we go, got lucky. So how that all goes together, of course, that clip goes into that little ridge on the rim, and then hopefully everything lines up. I just need to check that that is visible on that hole there. And you know that you are on a win. Do the one that you can see first. Sorry, my big head's in the way. You can be firm with it, but don't push it too hard, don't crack your headlight. all be patient. Oops. Now, have to make those two bolts go together. Can be a little tricky because with the extension bar, when the thread's already started, it's irrelevant. However, you know, when you're loosening it off, because the thread is already there, it's already started. However, you do need to be careful that you don't cross thread these things putting them back in. If you've got skinny fingers, unlike my great big meaty hands, you'll probably fare better. This is why I choose the extension bar. And I think I've got that started. The further back. Yeah, that's better. It doesn't have to be rock solid, it just has to be tight enough not to fall off. If you're a lover of torque wrenches, 20 foot-pounds would probably move your heads. Finally, the speedometer cable. Now that's square and it goes into a square hole in there. And that's that. So that's finger tight. And then just a little bit more, an eighth of a turn maybe, tops. Now if you're lucky, once you've done all of that, there might be enough fuel in the carburetor for you to test it before you put your seat and tank back on. In my case, I was lucky.